Yeah, I can. There we
Lolo,
go.
I didn't hear you.
If John wants to watch as well, if it's recorded.
Right, that's a good idea.
I can send it to both of them if you want.
If he has time.
Hi, Claire. Claire, real
Is
quick,
that-
did you get my note about the address so I can send back your item?
Oh, what? No, I didn't see it. No.
Oh, I emailed you because I wanted to mail back the microphone, but I wasn't sure about the address. So text
Okay.
me where you want it to go so I can get that
Sure.
back out to you. I love that thing.
Yeah, good. It sounded great. You nailed it. It was
Thank
great.
you. Thank you. Yeah. Hi,
Look at-
Patrice.
Look at Patrice and Cecilia with these lovely back.
I know.
I just figured out how to do it.
Excuse me, I'm in my kitchen. Hello. I mean,
A lovely kitchen.
I'm in San Francisco.
You guys have these great backdrops, but at least I've got a voice.
Yeah. Wow.
I promised Lolo I was going to do better with my technology so I can stop bugging her. So I'm really trying. I'm trying to get up to speed.
Okay. And here's Alicia.
Hi, Alicia.
Hi, how's everybody? Am I
Good.
frozen?
Better?
I
Better?
hope I'm not frozen.
I missed our meeting last week because I couldn't talk. Benjamin, when you guys were meeting last Monday? Yeah. So we
Sound
are,
better.
yes, it's a little better. Yesterday I was still kind of Marlene Dietrich, but today I'm a little better. Yeah. So we are actually only missing Karen, I think.
Where's Tabitha
Tabitha
she
and
can't
John
make
are
it.
not coming. We're
and
missing-
John? Okay.
Tabitha and John will both be absent. So we're only missing Karen, and she's an important piece because she's the second. She's
Oh,
actually
there she is.
first. Here she is. She's our first first president. She's on the list. She's first on the agenda.
Yeah.
So we do have a quorum. First thing is the approval of our March minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second. Patrice, Claire.
Oh, I'm just saying, do I do thumbs up for approval or?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Perfect. Minutes are approved. Claire, turn it over to you.
Thank you. Okay. Karen, with the financials.
Okay, so just want to make sure I have the ability to share screen. So just to take the first quarter into account here, so I'm trying to make sure that it's sharing. Okay. Why did it stop that? Sorry, says my share is paused. Let's see here.
It says that you started sharing.
Yeah, I'm just going to stop it and then, sorry guys, let's go ahead and. Okay, I'll change to this other one. Let me get this other one open. Overall, just to kind of give a big, broad picture, the broad picture is that things are definitely way better than anticipated. So the things to keep in mind for this first quarter is that the Amazon items were taken off for a little while and just kind of getting some reworks. So just want to make sure that just kind of looking at, there were some other things that were not, let's get this up here. Other things that were not on to do some sales for revenue purposes, but just want to go through and go over some things. So this first screen that you're seeing is going to be the first lines here. This is going to be our, scroll it back up, comparing first quarter of 2025 to first quarter of 2024. In one sense, at this point, just to kind of for reference, in the first quarter of 2024, we were still with PSI. So just kind of keep that in mind. We're not comparing the apples to apples as far as measured learning for our exam sorts of things. We were with PSI at the time, and there were some other things kind of going on, hence the reason we were making that shift. So when we look first, if we look at line 8 under CEC, we have some increase in CEC income for the first quarter of this year versus last. Our exam income on line 10 is higher. Our renewals on line 12 are higher. So those are all good things to kind of know that our elements there were higher. If we look down at line 16, you're going to see where the Amazon royalties are less. But again, keeping in mind, that's why I said that at the beginning, that we did take items off for rework. So all items weren't available to be purchased. But in general, our total income, if you see in line 20, was 5.86%. So almost 6% higher for this quarter of 2025 versus this quarter in 2024. We did have some different expenses that we had. So just to reflect back, in the first quarter of 2024, we had to start our payment to Measured Learning to get the exam things over. But in this payment that we have, remember that different than PSI, we are taking in all the income. So when people are looking up to take the exam, they're paying us. We then pay Measure Learning on the back end after they've taken the test. We pay the fee that we are per exam that we pay them. The interesting thing is those are not matching month to month. So somebody could take, pay to take the exam in April, but then Measure Learning doesn't bill us till May or maybe June for those exams later. So there's some delay on when they're billing us. So we're not matching necessarily, they paid for the exam, we're paying Measure, but we know what those numbers should be in that sort of way. So far this year for Measure Learning, we have paid $18,683.50. Of that is the yearly fee. So I'm just going to hover over the little part. There's a $7,500 annual delivery fee that we have to pay Measure Learning for having the exam. So of that $18,683, $7,500 is part of that annual fee. So it won't be every quarter sort of expense.
Question.
Yes.
Really quick. Is that annual fee always going to come out in quarter 1 of the year?
Most likely. I can say that, but it depends on when Measure Learning bills it. Claudia is not going to pay it unless it's billed. So okay. The likelihood is yes. However, if they don't bill it until March, she may not pay it till April. So it's an annual fee that we will pay. That's a good question. If we look down at line, so looking at line 34, you can see that our program expenses were down, mainly because we didn't have that fee that we had to pay to set up the exams to Measure Learning at the initial. But we do have fees that we are going to be paying this year to Measure Learning for updating the exam. So there's some other things that will be paid that we have budgeted for. If we look at line 39, you'll see our database and website consulting fees are down. And a lot of that with shifting to utilizing Buck plus getting other things in place. There's some things that, and again, I think there's going to be a constant set of cleanup, but putting all that into perspective, it's less of a starting from scratch sort of situation or trying to rework all sorts of things. As we continue down our expenses of just dues and subscriptions. So that would be some different things that we have for for services that we're using, and then other IT expenses and office expenses. And then we have our personnel expenses. And partly the reason why there's some increase in personnel expenses, there was an extra pay week in the first quarter of 2025 compared to 2024. So just to kind of get a sense on line 59 of that difference, there is an extra pay week. The finance charges, note that that's the credit card fees that we pay. And remember, we're taking, compared to last year, we're taking everything in-house, the initial exam, as well as retakes, as well as renewals. So with our income being higher, we're going to potentially have higher finance charges. So as I scroll down towards the bottom, what you'll notice is that we have a net income of roughly $2,600 compared to last year at this time, we were in the red. So at this point, it's a positive. What we did budget, and I'm going to show you that screen in just a moment. What we did budget for is we budgeted to actually have a loss in this first quarter. And the good news is we don't. So that's a good thing right in there. So let me stop. Oh, sorry. Anybody have any specific questions looking at the first quarter? And just say it because I can't see everybody. Patrice, I can see you.
I do. Okay, so I just want to, I think I'm 6 months in, and I just have a few questions on the budget and the board's role with it.
Yes.
So, okay, so the budget is prepared by whom? Like this document that we're looking at.
Correct. So this isn't the budget. This is actually the expense, the profit and loss sheet. And this is prepared by Claudia, who's our accountant. So she's taking in, and she's the one that pays the bills. And she's a contract labor. And so she pays the bills. So she prepares this information. And so just to kind of know, she's under this line 56 contract services.
Okay. And then from month to month, do we get a profit and loss statement monthly or just quarterly? We meaning the board.
The board we get it quarterly.
We get it quarterly. Okay.
Yes.
And so we're now past quarter Q1 in 2025. Have we ever gotten a board quorum to approve the 2025 budget?
So that was approved at last meeting. Because we were supposed to do it at the February in-person meeting, and it was an approved item. It's the one that you decided to not vote on. You said you were going to pull back and not vote. You were going to abstain.
I thought it was tabled, not voted on.
I believe it was voted on, but Tabitha, could you confirm that I thought that was one of the things and then you chose to abstain from that vote.
Tabitha's not here. I'll make a note.
Okay.
No, it was my understanding that we tabled it for the March meeting, and then it didn't come up in the March meeting. So here's my question: as a new board member, what are the bylaw expectations of our oversight over the financials?
So I'm going to
Ray, would you
interrupt
like to
here.
step in?
The way that the budget is created and the board's input, you will find it in the policies and procedures, the one that we sent you on the onboarding.
Yes.
In general, the budget, just as right off the top of my head, the budget is prepared by the bookkeeper and our treasurer, and then brought to the board for final approval at the end of the year. Okay. It's not done quarterly.
Okay. So it's always the 2020, the upcoming budget is always part of the annual meeting in February.
Yes.
Even though it's 2 months
if the
into
meeting
the
is
year.
in February or the year before was in January, it's where the annual meeting might be.
Okay, so we're approving the budget after the year has started. That's my question.
So just so you know, in the past, what we would have done before, what we would have done before is that we generally, our annual meeting would have been connected to another conference meeting that would have happened in October or November. And so it would have been earlier, but since our in-person meetings in the last 2 years, so this year and last year, prior to that, we didn't have in-person meetings because of COVID. We would have done it in the fall, but it was something to make more sense to do it in person. But in years past, it would always have been approved in October, November time in advance of the next year.
Okay, so moving forward, we're always going to approve it after the fiscal year has already started.
Potentially, if we always end up meeting after the fiscal year is started, then that would be the case. If we end up moving our annual meeting to November timeframe, then the answer would be no, it's approved at our annual in-person meeting.
Okay, got it. Okay, and then in terms of oversight, all we do is approve the budget. That's it.
Correct.
So we don't have any input, oversight, or authority to ask questions on anything regarding the budget.
Oh, you totally can. So you have all the ability to ask any questions and say, what is this and where does this go? And that was also part of that discussion at our in-person meeting, was to say, where do we see? Because there's some expenses that are fairly fixed. There's not going to be much. And then obviously the income is based on what we're doing. And that's where it comes down to committee work and what sort of projects does the committee see that they are going to need funds for. And again, like you said, that, being able to know where certain things, that was why there was so much discussion with the marketing committee. Where do you see where things are, and where do you see that you're going to need things? And does this amount that we've allocated make sense? And that's why I increased the amount, because it didn't seem to make sense.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. So I'm going to move to the balance sheet, which is the next sheet here. I'll increase the size here for people. So what I want to show in the balance sheet is, if we look at line 9 that I've now graded, you can see that in our total checking and savings, we are better than we were at this time last year. And we needed to, in order to pay that $30,000 to Measure Learning, we had to pull money out of savings to put it into the checking to make that payment. And Claudia's been able to replace all of that money. So that money has gone back into savings, and we still have a healthy amount into checking in there. As we look at just down at the bottom of the page to look at our total assets, which is line 28, we are a little over $500,000 compared to last year at the same time at that 486. So just going where we are, we're doing better than where we were last year. Again, a component of having improved both renewals and CECs as well as exam taking. So things that we're doing potentially on social media purposes in this past month and in this past quarter, improving visibility to have people take the exam. Questions on the balance sheet? Yes, Patrice.
Is the 486 the savings / reserves? Is that what that, or were you saying that's what that number is?
Correct. That is all assets. So it's including any of the furniture, equipment, computer, that is all assets. If you look at up above to know what is so when you talk about savings and reserves, it's the same. We don't have like a separate, so we have a checking and a savings account. So line 9 is going to be your total there. When you look at the other accounts receivable and things that are in transit, those are things that are in process that we're receiving, and then our other furniture and equipment. So that's, if you want to talk about cash on hand, that's the almost $431,000. That's the cash on hand.
Okay, so the checking is considered the operating budget, and then the savings is considered the reserves?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so for first quarter, we have $61,000 in our operating budget.
We have $61,000 available to us that has come as far as payment. So we're not paying out that amount of money, but that's the money that's available, yes, for operating expenses. As of March 31st, that's sitting there, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this so I can pull open the actual budget sheet that we had created, and just kind of looking at what we budgeted versus what the actual amount was, just to kind of see that comparison. Let me get that open, and then I'm going to share my screen now, because I think this will help you, Patrice, just to see in that part. So in the orange is going to be what we budgeted. In the blue is going to be what's the actual. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight line 13 here, and just looking in income. So again, Claudia took numbers to be able to put in income. And as we were looking at numbers to put in the budget, it was based on looking at history of things and looking at what we were hoping to make sure we had people take. So if we look at line 18, that's going to be our total certification, which means the CEC money, exam income, practice test, renewals, and retakes. We budgeted 117,000 and we brought in 139, almost 140,000. So big changes in, if we look at line 14 and line 16, so the renewals and the exam income were both higher than budgeted. Then when we look down at, so the total other income, we were budgeting more, going by traditionally what we've generally received for Amazon royalties, but knowing that we had some things that were off and not able to be bought. So those royalties were less. So that's going to be the difference as to why our budget was not matching on that side. So our actuals, so line 29, we have where we budgeted 135,000, we brought in 152.5. So better on the actual versus the first quarter budget. And then the next part to kind of go down to, we had in our budgeting item for just some of the licenses, other things, we budgeted these amounts for measured learning. And then this is a note that I've made. We failed to budget for the $7,200 annual fee. So that's why there's that difference on line 38 between what we had budgeted for to pay measured learning versus what the actual, and that budget was based on exams as well as looking at preparations as we've put that money out, preparations for the exam. Other things that are other transition things, administrative costs were a little bit higher, mainly that the amount in this line 52 has to do with the return to life and the study guide and the photo project. We had some of the things budgeted for second quarter that actually happened in first quarter. So that's where some of those funds are. So that's where some of that difference, it is on the budget. It just wasn't planned that it was all going to happen, that those bills were going to be coming first quarter. And that was something we had talked about with Benjamin's ability to do his pictures and both Claire and John's photo shoots and things. As we look down at total personnel, there was just a little bit of change in 401k expenses that changed some things in total personnel costs, some other little things, a little higher, a little lower. But we had a prepaid legal fee that was a little higher than what we had budgeted for. So that's where some of that difference lies in that. When we look at our marketing, what we had budgeted for and what's in our digital marketing, we budgeted we budgeted for $9,000, but we only actually spent about $3,200. So that was under. We had our conference, which was our in-person meeting, as well as Pilates on Tour. So some of that in-person meeting is funds that are due for the next one, or some payments that were due for the last one. And then we have those other marketing expenses. Some of that's also for the photo shoot and for some of the other things that were some marketing things, the videos that we took at the in-person meeting and that as well. So overall, we had budgeted 18,000, but we only spent 14,000, about 275. And then if we look at our total expenditures, we were almost right on. We had budgeted 140,846 and we did 148,9950, so fairly close. In the end, we had actually thought that we were going to have a loss of almost $6,000 and we had a profit of almost $1,200. So in the end, our income was higher, ended up being able to have make a better profit, as well as then from there, be able to add money back into our savings and keep that into our operating checking. Questions on the budget numbers versus the actual numbers?
Who is doing the minutes with Tabitha being out?
I am.
I think Cecilia is.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you please let the minutes reflect my question about if we voted on the budget at the annual meeting?
I already did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then also, can you let the minutes reflect my question about what the board's role is regarding financial oversight as it pertains to the budget?
Already did.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions on this part? Okay, So I'm going to stop sharing and share one more thing. Hopefully it'll share. I've got it already ready, but this is the one that it didn't want to share earlier. Okay, so I'm going to have to open it in a different way. So give me just one pause. The one is not opening what I'd already prepared as a PDF for the. So I want to share the visual. I apologize, everybody. I had it on my computer and ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to move you guys out of my way so I can see this. So I have currently up here on the date range selector at the top of the screen, I have basically this quarter. So I just wanted to show, just kind of looking at revenue and things for this quarter, looking at our revenue breakdown, knowing that our main revenue is coming. We've got the exam and the renewals, and this is the first time that renewals took more in the quarter than the exam, but looking at a close percentage. Looking at the revenue trend of, let me go back one. There we go. Make sure we get January in there. And then looking down applications, we've got both our domestic comprehensive applications and then the international comprehensive. Again, the comprehensive being the main driver for our exams, and then renewals, looking at most people seem to be renewing during their time that they can renew, but looking at just where our exam and our renewal income being the majority pieces of the pie in that way. Any questions on that?
Oh, but it's exciting that the renewals are outpacing the exams.
Yes. So in a sense, we're retaining members, which is what we want. So we want to retain, and let me change my language. We're retaining certificates, which is what we want. Just being all of that. Okay, I will stop share, and that is the end of my report. Does anybody else have any questions or any comments about the numbers at this point? It's all in first quarter. It's good.
Wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you,
I love
Karen.
charts.
And then those will be available. I will get those. So once the minutes are posted, I will put those on as well. So there'll be an attachment for the minutes.
Okay, quick question, Karen. I had asked about the possibility of a budget narrative. Is that too I mean, I know these are volunteer positions. Is it too tasking? Giving all the committees that you already serve on and all the roles that you already have, would it be possible to get a budget narrative just to kind of go into a deep dive of some of those things that you talked about that you pulled out, to give us a chance to look at that beforehand so that we can kind of formalize some questions before the meeting?
Okay, so just to clarify, I got all of this information on this past Friday, or Friday, I guess.
Okay.
It was the Friday before. So this time I could have, but sometimes it's not as much from there. But yes, I can go ahead and work on making sure that there's some information just so people can, if they need to marinate over some things first. Yeah.
Okay. And again, I understand, I know you've got a lot of things on your plate. So if you could, that'd be great. I understand if you can't, that I get it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Understood. Thank you.
And Karen, don't go anywhere because you have the school outreach committee report.
Woohoo!
Okay, so we had we've got together since one time, we've got another one set, and Cecilia has finished the final. We did some edits based on feedback from the in-person meeting. Claire was helpful in sending out Cecilia a better little mic situation. So team working together. So our next plan is to start working on kind of rolling out the project. What does that look like? And looking at the sheet that Tabitha put together that Benjamin had worked on with community outreach, and taking that as a framework to go ahead and look at now getting this project out into the real world.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
It really looks great. It is. I guess I have a question. Cecilia, where will that live if anybody wants to look at it?
Well,
there a-
actually, my question was, did you want me, I mean, you have the link so that whoever has the link can see it. It can live wherever you tell me you want it to live, basically.
Well, I
hadn't
think that's
discussed
a
that yet.
matter of, yeah, we don't know where it's going to live, but somewhere where, we have access to it. I don't know if it'll go on the NPC. Is it on the NPCP YouTube channel or?
Right now, it's just stored in my own YouTube channel and the link I sent to you all. So I thought maybe at our next upcoming meeting, that would be like a topic we'd discuss.
Of where it lives? Okay.
Yeah, but I'm open to sending it wherever you tell me.
Wherever we want to go. Okay.
Mhm.
Just thought I'd. And then that's all. I guess we'll move on then to Community Building Committee with Benjamin.
Hello. Quick question on the video is when you're asking where it's going to live, have we already seen the newest version, or was that part of the question as to how we get to see it?
No, the
Because I
only
would love to see it.
So the only people who've seen it so far are the committee members, and
I see.
we have a meeting coming up. But I mean, anybody can see it. I'm happy to send it out. We just hadn't discussed it as a committee yet about the rollout or,
Oh, I see.
how
Can we
that
put it on
works.
Basecamp and just put the link on
Totally.
Basecamp so everybody can
Yes.
look at it? That'd be
Yes.
great.
Okay, excellent. I will do that today.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
Good old Basecamp. This will be super fast. I shared during the last board meeting this document that Karen also just referenced that we've been working with, and I think everybody was able to take a look at it if you are interested. And we are on track. That's the good news. We've been meeting twice since the last board meeting, and we've been on track with all of our little mini tasks that are part of the webinar project plan, which is still what we're focusing on. We've been moving on towards marketing ideas and figuring out like what would our wish list look like for who takes on all these different tasks. So there's some documents coming the staff's way. So Ray, Lolo, and Paula are people that we're going to reach out to shortly with sort of, the question of how do we set up an operational team around this so that we can start handing over some of these tasks and also start to get to the fun stuff as it relates to webinar projects, and then hopefully also start thinking about other community ideas that were brought up during the in-person meeting. And that's where we're at.
Benjamin,
Yes.
are you guys using the SWOT analysis thingy template that Tabitha did?
Yes.
And if so, how's that going?
It's going
Is it
great.
helpful? Okay.
It's going great.
Okay.
Like it does kind of remove the, this meeting could have been an email kind of nature of some of this work as it comes up. It's been good to just have like a master plan in mind. And obviously things are moving targets, especially as it relates to, the ongoing website renovations and what we're looking at in terms of the point of sale setup of things and what have you. But it's been working really great for us, I think. And
Okay.
highly recommend for all the committees to dig into that.
Awesome.
I'll second
Okay,
that.
thank you.
That's all I got.
All right. And then who's going to be sitting in for John for the marketing committee?
Lola?
I can. He sent me an email. Well, we're kind of a little behind on doing more because I had a different I rearranged what I needed, and now we're gonna work together. We need to see it. He was busy and I was busy. I'm moving this weekend, so I'm like, but we are. I'm focusing this year in retaining, so more renewals, and it's gonna help me create certain things for the marketing. Get more CC providers is our goal as well, and of course new certificates. So we kind of mix and matching, but I'm focusing more in renewals, and it's going to help me create a few how do you say the why be certified, why maintain your certification, like a list of I have here the word, a list of benefits available. We just launched Airbnb experiences. It's something to help grow businesses for people that are interested in offering locals or travelers. You post maybe a class or two, a group, or one-on-one. It's a new thing that they're putting out, and reach out to us to have our certificates be part of it. And there's a referral fee for money, some up to $500 for the instructors that do this up to the end of April. So I think it's we're creating more reasons for people to maintain, and the why should I be certified. We're also working on a job board that we want to introduce soon. And there's one more. The insurance is finally out there as well. For now, it's not in a page, but I want to make it a page that you have to sign in. Certificates have to sign in and be able to access. Right now, we just sent by email to all certificates the link with those things. So the next thing to come is the job board, and I think we're going to promote it again. Oh, sorry. And it's coming, I think, next week. They have to put it together. We're signing the contract, and we're going to put it together. They need to make our page look great with our branding and everything. But John is helping me with the verbiage on those, more focused on renewals. But that's where we're at right now.
Olo?
Yes.
With the CEC, when you said we need more CEC providers, can you elaborate on that? Because I want to see, is that something that we as the school outreach committee could maybe weave into our next phase?
Maybe that is well, you know what the CC provider is, right?
I know what they are, but I don't know in the context that you're saying it. So can you please explain it to me? I know what it is because I look through a list of them when I'm trying to, but yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it's to reach out to promote CC for them to get their courses approved.
Okay.
Teaches and wants to get it approved to offer CCs to all certificates, which is something that gives you more visibility if you want more, students, and to be listed on our website as an available, course. So it's basically for usually when they reach out to us, they want to get certified. And I said, well, once you get certified, you can also become a CC provider. And people are like, oh my God, I love this idea. So, it's one thing that goes with the other, basically.
Okay, so it would be an NPCP approved course, because I saw one the other day.
Approved course. And it's in our in the school outreach thing that we just did in our committee. There is a mention about CEC being a CEC provider as
and the process, the steps,
the schools, and the process is in there. So
okay, so it does fall under our umbrella in some way.
It does. We have a little overlap.
Outreach.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of overlap.
Okay, all right. I'll table that for our school outreach committee meeting. Thank you, guys.
Anybody else? So, okay. Thank you, Lolo.
No problem.
Anybody else for Lolo? Okay. Then the photo shoot update, return to life update. So where we're at with that is that Benjamin, the group decided that in order for Benjamin to finish up with the Cadillac shoot in that one day, that some of the accessory things we were going to split up between John and I, because we could pretty easily do that so that Benjamin could really be dedicated to one day, which keeps our costs down, because the studio he was going to film at is now charging a fee for that. And so I think in the email, I think John said that he had his shoot scheduled for the beginning of May.
May 1st, I think.
Yeah, May 1st. And then mine I'm doing with Noah. I have just 11 shots. They're quickies on this Thursday. And so, and then Benjamin, I forget your date, Benjamin.
Because I didn't have one yet. But I now do. It's May 11th.
Okay, so May 11th. So that kind of puts us all in really good stead. Our final step is then to Just, really cross-check all the class names and what we're naming them, and then compare it to what's on the exams. That's kind of our next last step, just to make sure everything's lining up so that we can be very clean going forward into this new phase of the exam development. So I think we're pretty much on target. I think we were targeted to be complete by June. And so, yeah, so let's knock on wood. We can put this project behind us and get on to the next. That's where we're at. Okay. Anybody else?
How about return to life? Is there already something we can look at?
Oh, I sent to the editor, and he asked me to show it to you guys. I'm gonna put it on Basecamp. I'm gonna show it to you guys what the information is, and he's going to rearrange the pictures that Mary, what's her name, Claire?
Yeah, Mary Kelly. We're
Mary
using
Kelly.
some images from Mary Kelly. Thank you to Mary and the Transparency
donated.
Project and Alicia. Thank you.
Yeah. So we donated some money and we have pictures, and I spoke actually today with the editor, and he said it's going to interpret, but he wants to make sure that all the pictures are okay and the text is okay. It's not edited yet to look like a book, but all the information is there. I want to put it out there so you guys can take a look.
Are you talking about the whole book or just the front matter?
Well, the whole book is in one document. So, I'll just put it there. The pictures are not there yet because I'm going to send them separate to him. I have the text for the, each exercise. And the pictures, I need to put a background. He asked
me pictures, you mean the exercise pictures?
The exercise pictures, yes. That's going to be I'm going to send that separate to him. And he sent me back. He needs a background because, it's a white background and he needs a little box. So I need to put a background, a very light gray background to become boxes like, the original. So I have to start working again on that, but it's with him already. So he has the everything, the cover. I'm gonna have to resend the images, the codes, the QR codes he has. So it's there, it's going, it's moving.
Yeah. Lolo, do you guys have a date, like what is your projected date of when it'll be like on Amazon for sale?
It will depend how fast he works, how fast the editor works. He's pretty fast, but we had said last meeting, remember, Claire? We had mentioned, I think we had said some date.
You know what? This brain of mine, I can't remember dates like that.
I remember. We had next month, by the end of next month.
I think we were trying to say June.
June, for the yeah, I think so too.
The return.
I'm excited. I'd like to pre-order a copy. Can I pre-order a copy? I'm super pumped. Like,
why? I'll send a copy to you, but when it's already published.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so good. Anything else on that one? The return to life, and what we did decide to do, by the way, was all those QR codes. They were like one or two reps. They were kind of it was kind of hard to see the whole thing put together. So we did reshoot like a one rep of the whole thing. So you see the whole nice smooth thing. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of the workaround. So we didn't have to speed up those individual shots, but let them stay existing slow, a little easier to see, and then have one separate one of the 34 all put together. That was kind of the way it'll work. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. So that's okay. So that's that. So now we're going to move into Jolita with the eligibility requirement project.
Okay. That we had mentioned in our in-person meeting, Claire brought it up, how that our I can never say the word eligibility requirements kind of reflect a parentheses that we lived through with COVID, and how we had to make some exceptions to kind of get us through that particular period of our lives. And so now it's probably a good idea to take a look at them again and see how it lines up with our actual reality. So I had kind of put that on hold, waiting to see how the progress was going with these photo shoots, et cetera, and not wanting to burden Claire or any of us beyond our capacity as volunteer board members. I think now we're ready to attack the little project. Alicia had offered during our in-person meeting to be part of this committee. It probably won't take many meetings. It would be Claire as well, and obviously we will have Ray participate as well, so that we can just take a look at where we stand in terms of who is doing online training. Is it all online training? How much is live virtual? How much is pre-recorded, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It had brought some sticky questions to Lolo's desk a couple of times and kind of, makes it a bit uncomfortable. And so it just needs to be addressed. And I think that after this meeting, I will send out some possible times that the four of us can get together, and it probably won't take much to get that one knocked out. It's a project, it's not a committee, and it needs to be done. So, yep.
Great.
The next one, I'm still on.
Mm-hmm.
We had a meeting recently as executive officers with Ray and Claire and Lola and myself with Patty Cates. Patty Cates is our accountant. Ray, you can fill in any information that you want to about her role with us and who she is and her history with the organization. But before he gets to that, I'll let you know that we have invited her to be a guest lecturer for us for our next board meeting. So our next board meeting, which will be in May, Patty will be on board with us and take us through governance model review. And I think it will be really helpful. Just even though some of us have been on boards before, it's just kind of nice to have the Carver model put in front of us and get us all back on track. And as Patrice brought up, what is our responsibility? What is not our responsibility? What is our role? Who plays what when, how it works, how we all become intrecciati, as we say in Italian. So we're delighted to have her. We're fortunate to have her because she will soon be retiring. And so it's to our favor that she's going to be able to do this for us before she actually goes off and lives on an island somewhere, hopefully for her.
Jolita, who is she and what are her credentials in terms of board governance?
I'm going to let Ray tell you that. Okay. But in the meantime, I will tell you that I will be sending out 2 links for us to review before we meet with her next time, okay? So that we can do our homework and be prepared and have the proper questions awesome. that do not cause us to waste her time or our time. Yes, Cecilia.
Are we paying for that? I mean, are we
so
paying her a fee?
Let me answer this more broadly.
Yes.
Let me start by telling you that I was a little bit surprised when we met Patty the other day, where she reminded me that she had started way back with Kevin Bowen. She was hired by Kevin Bowen when they were thinking about creating a certification program. So that dates it to like 2004, 2005. So she's been with the certification since it was, created. I came to know her when I started working in 2009. But really, when we separated from the PMA, she took a much more active role She and our attorney were the ones that crafted our bylaws and our whatever that other document is important for the oh God, we are a certain oh God.
Are you talking about our nonprofit status?
That came later. Initially you have to have well, let's just use the bylaws. The bylaws, if you look at them, they're basically a cut and paste of the Carver model of organization. And she originally, when we first were set up, she suggested that we have training for board members on an annual basis. And it's always been one of these projects that we wanted to do, but we've never done it. And I think that we turned around, we had this conversation with her, and we asked her if she would do it for us. In terms of her charging us, she has yet to charge us for our incorporation. Patty's been working with us, pretty much pro bono for the longest time. It's not a comfortable, really, relationship when you have a pro bono only, but thus far. So when Jolita asked me to invite her for this, I asked her and I said, look, I know you've done this pro bono thing, but it really feels uncomfortable. I'm more than happy to send a bill. So yes, I think we are going to be paying for her time. She is pretty much, for the last, however many years we've been separate from the PMA, she's been our go-to person pretty much, aside from our attorney when it comes to certification, because she has worked with credentialing organizations. She has a lot of experience with laws related to credentialing organizations and the proper relationships between board members and staff members and accreditation, all of these relationships. In terms of her credential, we'll let her introduce herself when we have the next meeting.
Question.
Yes.
So just to be candid, part of my coming on as a new board member, part of my concern is the relationship and the distribution of power between the founders, who were the original people who broke off from the PMA, and the board and the staff, given that the staff that Ray is also a founder. And so with her having a previous relationship, that doesn't feel separated enough for someone to come in and advise us how we should be moving forward in terms of board governance. So coming in as a new member, just for me, and then given my background in coming into nonprofit organizations and assessing where they are, identifying strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges. One of the things that I'm struggling with as a new board member, and especially given Iris's response when I asked Ray, when I sent out the survey trying to figure out what does the staff do, is so my first question is, are we a rubber stamp board? And if that's the case, please let me know and I'll fall back and fall into the committee work and then just abstain from anything that I feel like is going to leave me legally liable as a volunteer board member. Or are we moving forward to an actual functioning board so that we can progress and grow, hence the forth bringing in people from the outside like Elisa and myself who have different perspectives. So for me, I'm not comfortable with somebody who already has a relationship with the existing staff and board and or the PMA or MPCP split to advise us on governance. I think we need to find somebody from the outside that has no ties to us.
So Patrice, I want to just comment on one thing before Ray goes. So of the current board, just to clarify, just for certain things, myself, I'm the only remaining person, and Jolita are the only two people that are part of this board when we moved away. And remember, we were already separate. So when I joined the board, the NPCP was already functioning independently of the PMA. We we were just under that big umbrella. So I just want to make sure clarifications, both Benjamin, Claire, Cecilia, yourself, Tabitha, and Alicia are all new since that happened. So I just want to make sure that you're also seeing that it's not just you and Alicia that are new. Everybody besides Jolita and myself are new since it was a completely separate organization.
So when you so here's
but let me respond to your previous.
Sure.
First of all, the title I was struggling for was the Articles of Incorporation. You're suggesting that there's a binary. It's either a rubber stamp or hands-on. And
correct.
What we have is something in the middle.
Okay.
But it needs to be understood for the reason that you pointed out. You don't want to do something that makes you liable, because you would be liable as a board member. So I understand that.
And that's me continuing to raise concerns about getting information
right, and that's
about
fine.
The financials.
But just so you know, I'm not a founder. I mean, I don't see myself as a founder. As a matter of fact, I fought for this certification program to separate. So not sure what that implies. What do you mean by founder?
No implications. I'm just seeking information.
Well, you titled me as a founder. So what does that mean?
So, because when you speak, you always say, when we broke off from PMA, which led me to believe that you were one of the initiators of that split. No? Like there's a lot of we talk when we have there's like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, it's okay. The split came about for a couple of reasons and was initiated by two board members who are no longer here with us. One was Sabian, who was the president at the time, and the other was Kathleen McDonough, which you met briefly, and she also is away as well. And this idea that we would be rebranded as no longer the PMA certification, but the NPCP certification came about in 2016, 2015.
Yeah, it was soon after. It was like right when I joined the board, and it was even in process before Jolita had even joined the board.
Exactly. And Ray, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it had to do, Patrice, with our NCCA accreditation status, that we had to separate from a membership organization. It's the same if you know anything about IDEA and ACE. They went the exact same separation. And it's not even that it's not even somebody says, I want to separate. It's that for your accreditation status, you need to separate from a membership organization.
Part of the process of becoming
exactly. And that is why that was brought to the table and then put forth. So I wouldn't really consider Ray as a founder. We were present when this was evolving. So if you go all the way back to 2012, when the exam was actually created, and then all of those different steps in the evolution of how we got the exam accredited and how the organization became NCCA or NCAA. I can never get how many C's and how many A's they're supposed to be. So it was a necessary step. It was
for the accreditation.
Yes.
So just to clarify, the PMA has sponsors. It's behind big money sponsors, large organizations that give it money, and they had a lot of influence. And undue influence is a problem for the certification program. So all the time we were within the PMA, we had this quote unquote firewall, but the firewall was only as good as we could keep it. So that is the motivation for that.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you for explaining. I got that part. So so what I'm saying is, I understand the historical part, based on what Ray just said, meaning, you know, that she's helped with the foundational articles, bylaws, things of that nature. But as it pertains to, are you feeling like because of her, what expertise does she have for governance of a board outside of her affiliation with the organization? So as we're moving forward, and again, I am happy to stay in my lane once it's identified what that lane is, as long as I don't have any legal liability in that lane, at whatever place you put me in. So if you're saying, if you slap my hand and say, Patrice, be quiet, just work on your committee, so be it. I just don't want any liability. So
You know what?
I need someone who to address that part.
That's what she's going to be doing. She's going to be answering questions based on fact. That is all she's doing. And that's how I understood this meeting. She was going to come in, answer questions. She's kind of been part of the process of putting together our bylaws and that other thing you just said.
The articles of
incorporation.
All she's going to be doing is answering questions. She's not going to be working with us after this anymore.
And
she's
in
just
fact,
offered to give us answers, and that's what she's going to be doing.
In fact, as I mentioned, Patrice, she is.
Thank you, Claire.
We're fortunate that she's willing to do this with us. Also because she's retiring. She's out. She's like, hello, I've done it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I think it's going to be, it's just informative.
Okay, gotcha. That was my question.
It's just informative, and it's kind of a nice, let's call it a review, a review for all of us, and a chance for some clarity in case we do have some clouds hanging over that we're just not, you know, the sky's not clear, and so I think it's going to be a good thing. And I'll send those documents out after this meeting. I didn't want to send them before because you would say, why is this? So I'll send those out.
And just one other quick thing. We will have some really good questions that she will be able to just, when I read these bylaws, for example, they don't mean a lot to me. I don't know enough to even know. And her role will be to kind of put it in lay terms, help us see.
Awesome.
That is kind of her specialty.
Right.
Okay,
and I think
got it. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I love it. I'm here for it. Thank you for explaining.
If you wanted to take some things, the method that she used as far as establishing the board, the Carver, can you repeat that again? Carver model. If you wanted to research Carver model, that might be helpful to know that that's the foundation for this board, is using that. But it looks like that's something that Jolita might be sending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's really helpful. I love that.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry, guys. I am very much a documentation, order, checklist person. So I need something in writing to know what's happening, because I'm very happy to stay in my lane once I understand what it is. I have no idea what that lane is. I'm just trying to get in it. So thank you, Jolita and Claire, for helping me to get into the appropriate lane.
Great.
I appreciate it. Thank
you. Last item, Claire, I think.
Is a benefit package with Lolo.
Oh, I actually mentioned that before.
Kind of already mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody has a question that need me to repeat or anything? I forgot that I had that backwards.
When we were setting up this agenda, and we always go through and time it, you know, to see if we're actually on track. And we calculated that we were actually under time according to what we had allotted for our quarterly meeting. So it looks like we've actually gone a little bit longer than we thought we would run, but we're still under what we thought we needed. So I think that it's going to be, we might run over 5 minutes longer next meeting, because we'll take advantage of having somebody.
Sorry.
Siren. Because we'll take advantage of just pulling out as much out of Patty Cates as we can while we've got her. And so it's a good thing that we finished a little early this time.
Awesome. So she's going to be the whole meeting.
Yes.
Q&A.
Yes, so
Yes.
that means that all of our committee reports, if there's nothing drastic or you know urgent that has to be discussed, we'll just kind of put committee reports on hold, and which means that that's kind of nice because by June, some of these things will probably be more underway and really have something to report. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, Jolita.
I think that sums us up.
I do have a question. So, we're recording this meeting, right? And
Yes.
is that so that we can get the minutes summarized? Is that what the purpose was?
Well,
Yeah.
I can maybe answer that. So Tabitha reached out to me about an hour before this meeting or so and asked me to take notes. So I am taking notes, and she also asked for a recording. So I'm doing both. And what I'm going to do is she has a particular format that she likes to use. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just post my notes, and I'm also sending the notes and the recording to her. And then she will probably do like an official formatting of the notes.
Well, I thought that
and refer back to the
I thought
recording.
I thought Zoom had a feature that allows it to immediately summarize. Is why I'm
It has a
saying
transcript feature if you
Yeah, it does.
if you hit the button.
It does. But I didn't hit that button.
push the button before. Oh,
Yeah.
Oops. We didn't push
That
the
would have
button.
been a good point to bring up at the beginning.
You know, you can still
Next
get a
meeting.
transcript if I do this every week. I'm doing one right now. If you put the recording in a on a YouTube link, and then it will generate a transcript, and then you can copy that if it's a desperate moment, if you need it.
Yeah. it
I'm a
will
big transcript
create
freak.
Yeah, you can ask it to create
but
it.
the summary
Yes.
is definitely a feature that I think Tabitha wanted to
Well,
like kind of
Cecilia has it. Cecilia has it, and she can watch the
Well,
meeting.
I'm just going to send this to her, and she can do the summary and the formatting, and going forward, maybe she can use that transcript thing because it sounds like a great thing.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
Today. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Okay,
you,
our
guys.
next, just so that everybody knows, our next meeting is Tuesday, May 27th. So just as an FYI, for those in the US, that's the Tuesday after Memorial Day. So
Okay.
make sure that it's because that's the fourth Tuesday. So
Perfect.
just making sure.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.